In ancient times, when villages were small and forests stretched endlessly beyond human paths, there lived a husband and wife named Ion and Zora. Their home stood on the edge of a quiet settlement where nights were dark and silence carried weight. Despite the harshness of the era, their life was filled with warmth. They lived simply, worked honestly, and loved deeply. Their laughter echoed through their modest home, and neighbors often spoke of them as a couple blessed with peace. Ion was strong and disciplined, a man shaped by responsibility. Zora was gentle, kind, and full of life, her presence turning even the simplest moments into comfort. Each morning they shared meals. Each evening they shared dreams. They believed their happiness was protected by faith and devotion, unaware that fate was quietly preparing a trial beyond their imagination. One day, necessity forced them to travel to a nearby settlement. The shortest path led through a desolate land and abandoned stretch where trees stood twisted, and the air felt unnaturally heavy. Locals avoided this place, whispering stories of spirits and unseen beings. Ion hesitated, but time was short, and reason overpowered fear. They entered the wasteland just as the sun began to fade. As they crossed the barren ground, the wind grew cold without warning. Strange sounds echoed between the trees, and Zora suddenly stopped, clutching her head. Her face paled, and her breathing became uneven. When Ion asked what was wrong, she forced a smile and blamed exhaustion. But something had changed. Her eyes held a shadow that had not been there before. That night marked the beginning of their suffering. Zora awoke after midnight, her body stiff, her voice unfamiliar. She spoke in whispers that did not belong to her, words without meaning yet filled with menace. By morning, she remembered nothing. At first, these episodes were rare, but soon they returned night after night, always between midnight and dawn. Ion sought help everywhere. He took Zora to healers, scholars, and spiritual men. Some offered remedies, others prayers. For a few days, she would appear normal, calm, and loving. Then suddenly, the presence would return. Her eyes would darken, her voice would deepen, and she would speak as though another being lived within her. The man Ion loved became a stranger in those moments. Desperation hollowed Ion's heart. He slept little, fearing the nights. One evening, after a particularly violent episode, he left his home before dawn and journeyed toward the mountains. There, it was said, lived an old spiritual guide, someone who understood forces beyond the human world. The elder listened silently as Ion spoke, tears breaking through his words. After a long pause, the old man said, "Your wife is under the shadow of a jinn, but no healer can remove it. Only you can." Ion trembled as the elder continued, "You must perform a spiritual trial alone. 7 nights, no fear, no retreat. The jinn will test your weakness." Ion did not ask about danger. His decision was immediate. Love had already taught him sacrifice. The first night, the wind screamed around him. The second night, voices mocked him in familiar tones. On the third night, the jinn appeared, shifting shapes, feeding on fear. Each night brought greater terror. Visions of Zora's suffering nearly broke him, but he refused to leave. On the 7th night, the jinn spoke clearly. "Give me your life, and I will free her." Ion closed his eyes and accepted without hesitation. At that moment, the ground shook, darkness shattered, and a scream echoed through the void. When dawn arrived, Ion lay unconscious. Villagers found him and carried him home. There, Zora waited calm, clear, and free. The shadow had vanished. She remembered everything. Tears fell as she held him, realizing the depth of his sacrifice. From that day forward, the curse never returned. Ion grew weaker with time, but his heart was at peace. Zora cared for him with devotion, knowing her life had been saved by his courage. Together, they rebuilt their happiness, stronger than before. Their story spread quietly through generations, reminding all who heard it that true love is not proven by words, but by the willingness to face darkness alone for the one you love. And so, in that ancient land, love triumphed over fear, and sacrifice defeated the unseen.